Hi my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. Today we are reacting to episode 12 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and episode 11 was so sweet. Winry found her purpose, she's pushing forward, they got to discover the miracle of life. The grumpy grandfather figure ended up being a big old softie at heart, which we knew. We also got to meet Panaya, I think that's how you say her name, I probably butchered it. She is so cool. I really hope we begin to see more of her in the story as well. I think we might, because obviously Winry is staying behind. She wants to build her skills with automail. She wants to learn so that she can help Ed and build lighter equipment because it's too heavy, and she wants to be able to make sure that he has the best of the best. So even at the heart of her desire of enhancing her skills with automail, it still comes back to wanting to help the person that she cares about most, which is Ed, which is why she's pursuing what she's pursuing, because she wants to benefit him. And it's just so cute. You can see like the budding romance happening between the two of them. I just love it. And we know that she's staying behind. Poor Granny's on her own, but Granny does have the dog, so that's fine. Granny has the dog, she'll be all right. But because Winry's staying behind, we may see more of Panaya because they're together, and Panaya was so interesting. I really would like her to be sort of more in the show as well because she's so badass. I love the way that women are written in the show. I really do. I think every woman that we've seen has been so strong, has been so unique. None of them are caricatures. They all have individual quirks that make them stand out from one another. They don't blend together. They're not forgettable. They're all beautifully fleshed out, and I just love to see that. I think it's so easy in shows to see women as kind of taking a backseat to the writing of male characters. The male characters will be more fleshed out. They will have more dynamic personalities, more interests, more unique things about them. Whereas the women tend to take a bit of a backseat, tend to be not as focused on. And that was one of my gripes with Death Note. I felt like the women in Death Note were kind of put on the back burner in favor of the male characters, and it was quite disappointing. I felt like there was more they could have done with Misa, and then Misa just kind of never really was anything more than Light's punching bag. She just was kind of manipulated and used for his benefit. And, I really loved her and I wanted to see more of her. And I felt like when she was first introduced, she had really great potential. She was really interesting. She was really dynamic. And then as the show went on, the writing for Misa declined heavily. It just went downhill so fast. But then again, people will argue that after Elle's death, the show does go down in general. And I will agree that it becomes a lot more rushed and a lot more fast paced, but I did still enjoy it, but not as much as the first half of the anime. I'm gonna try and read the manga at some point because I feel like the manga probably is more well-rounded, maybe. I don't know if it'll be more well-rounded in the depiction of the characters, but I imagine that second half of the anime is more fleshed out in the manga because unfortunately the anime did not have as much time as the manga to conclude that narrative. So I think that's where it suffered, is that they were rushing to get it finished on time and the pacing was all over the place and it was quite hard to follow and it was quite jarring. And either way, I felt like there was more they could have done with Naomi, and Naomi was really interesting, and she was only in 2 episodes, and she had quite a dynamic personality, and then she was just killed off very, very quickly, and it was like, okay, cool. There was just something lacking. There was just kind of no life to the female characters in Death Note, whereas I've noticed the complete opposite in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The women are well-rounded. They are given different personalities. They're not written solely as love interests. They're not written solely to be an extension of the main male character or to be fawning over him. They are people with ambition and desires and dreams that are their own, that are not solely to serve in the interests of the male characters. And I think that's what I really enjoy. And that they're all so different from one another. It could be so easy to just write sort of a repetitive female character, but the author really makes sure that every character is uniquely fleshed out, whether they're male or female. And I love it. I love it. I love the way that women are written in this show. I love the way that women are written in Attack on Titan. And I love the way that women are written in Frieren as well. I think the only gripe so far in how women have been depicted is Death Note. And I received a lot of backlash for that. So I hope I don't get any backlash here. But yeah, I really enjoyed Death Note. I will preface that. Really enjoyed Death Note, but I did have some issues with the writing and the characterization, and that's perfectly fine. I think I'm within my right to be able to critique something, especially a piece of media, without having people jump down my throat. But I also understand that people are passionate about the shows that they watch, and I know that fandoms can be quite intense. So hopefully nobody bites my head off for saying what I said about Death Note like they did when I was reacting to Death Note. But without further ado, we're going to get into episode 12. Is that Daddy Dearest? That's the same color eyes. This is the first time we've seen their dad. Yep, Dad, Papa. That means their father will come into it at some point, right? Hello? Sir? Hi there. Oh. You've really grown. Oh no. Oh! You doubt her? Damn. Oh, she's not happy. She's so cool. Ma'am. It's the contrast in personality. I love it. I love her husband. He's so caring and supportive. He's such a himbo. I love it. He knows the name. Does the teacher know who his dad is? No. It's his dad. Fuck! She wouldn't have known. I knew their dad knew something about the Philosopher's Stone. I called it. Because he left, and I think he left because he was trying to protect his family. Because of what he knew. I don't think he did it intentionally to be mean or cruel. Oh, sleepy owl. They look so much like him as well. And she also doesn't seem overly upset, so it's not like he walked out on them intentionally. I think it's done for the protection of his family. I know she was crying or like hiding the tears because she didn't want her sons to be sad or upset. But I think he left because he knew information that was vital. What if she didn't die of the plague? What if she was killed? I know they said that she died of like the plague or the illness or something, but they only walked in and found her like that. And then seeing her lay on the floor there, if he's left because he knows something about the stone and the information that he knows is valuable and he's done it to protect his family, maybe she's been killed by one of the sins because they wanted to know where their father was because of the information that he has is so valuable and only he knows it, and they want to find out where he is so that then they can take that information for himself. So what if they tried to interrogate her as to his location and she didn't tell them, so they killed her because she refused to give away the location of her husband and the father of her children, and she also was worried that they would harm her children. So what if the reason she died is because the sins killed her because she was trying to protect the knowledge that her husband has because he left to protect his family in turn? I don't think their dad left to be mean. I don't think he did it to abandon his family because of his pursuit of alchemy. I think he did it because he knew it would put his family in danger. Because Granny thinks really highly of their dad and had known him for years, and she seems to still really respect him. And I don't think Granny would respect him if he was the type of man to just walk out on his wife and two young children for no reason. I think there's a deeper meaning behind it.
長年の望みがもうすぐとか嬉しそうに言ってたな。
I could be wrong, but I don't know.
飯にするぞ。はーい。
She's so brutal. I love it. Oh, the food looks so good. He can't. They don't know that, but he can't.
俺たちラシバレーで出産に立ち会ったんだよな。
そうそう、先生、僕たち赤ん坊を取り上げるの手伝ったんですよ。家族が協力して母親も命を懸けてみんなに祝福されて人間は生まれてくるんですね。
そうだよ。お前たちもそうやって生を受けた。自分の命に誇りを持ちなさい。
Special because they were born. It seems to be a running theme in anime, is this whole idea of being special because you were born and valuing your life. I wonder if it's symbolism in Shintoism, or I'm not sure. Maybe. Seems to be a persistent theme, which makes me think that it has to be maybe influential. Okay, so Shinto emphasizes the sacredness of life and its interconnectedness with nature. It values harmony, purity, and the continuation of life through generations, viewing life as a precious gift. Shinto practitioners strive to live in accordance with the kami's will, so spirit of the gods is kami. I'm probably butchering that, but seeking to purify themselves and the surroundings and maintain a positive relationship with the divine and the natural world. Life is seen as a divine gift, and the divine spirits inhabit all aspects of nature. This reverence for nature extends to the belief that all living things, including humans, are interconnected and share a common origin, which is probably why the themes of life being so precious and so special is so prevalent in Japanese anime, is because it sort of roots back to the teachings of Shinto, and that we should be reverent and grateful to the life that we have because it is a gift from the gods. I don't want to make the presumption that the author for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and the author for Attack on Titan are practices of Shintoism, but because of how culturally prevalent Shintoism is in Japan and how important it is valued in their culture, you can see its influence in the depiction of how valuable life is and the gratitude of being born and the sanctity of life and how it is something to be cherished and the gift of it. I think it's just really cool to see how that's threaded in. And I have said before, I don't have much experience when it comes to symbolism and themes from Japanese culture into anime because it is very new to me and I am learning as best I can. But this is one of those opportunities that I have been trying to delve further into, seeing whether there is symbolism that I can maybe pick up on that is Japanese influence rather than looking at it from solely a westernized perspective. I am trying to educate myself so that I can better pick up on the themes, And it is because of Attack on Titan and this theme of life and the sanctity and Eren constantly saying we are special because we are born, that I began to look a little bit deeper into why that is and how it ties into Shintoism and Buddhism and the belief system in Japan and how it's culturally prevalent. I just wanted to confirm it because I knew that Shintoism was related to the sanctity of life. I just wasn't 100% sure. So I didn't want to say, is this an aspect of Shintoism without confirming it? But I have been trying my best to pick up a more Japanese influenced subtext than I was previously, but it is taking some time because, again, it is not my area of expertise. I am primarily a scholar of Irish literature, so yeah, sometimes nuance of Japanese culture is missed on me, but I'm doing my best, okay? Oh, it's their teacher. She doesn't need a transmutation circle. I love how badass she is, and then her husband's just there with the umbrella. We love a supportive husband. Ma'am, are you okay? Old. Rude. It's like I don't give a fuck that you're kids. So young and pretty and beautiful. Take us on this pupils. Oh, was this just after they lost their mom? Good luck. I mean, it's smart. You know, they have to learn how to survive without relying on alchemy. In the middle of a massive lake. Toughen up for the journey ahead, my boys.
経験に勝る知識なしってね。錬金術の肝の部分を叩き込むにはあの方法が一番なのよ。
俺が心配してるのはあいつらの命の方だ。
私の修行の時なんて冬のブリックスさんに1ヶ月放り込まれたわよ。
That's why she's so tough, because she's just like, meh.
あの島は食料豊富だし、死にゃしないわよ。
She's like, oh, the bunny, no! They're not going to be able to kill it because it's so cute. Let it go. They're going to let it go. No! To be fair, it's the circle of life and death. It has to feed its babies. But the poor rabbit, though, it was so cute. You gotta construct things. Part of alchemy. Construction, deconstruction. Did it say composition and decomposition is also a part of alchemy as well? So I think those are the techniques of alchemy she's trying to like drum home to them from experience before they even start utilizing alchemy. That's cannibalism. You can't do that. If you can't kill a rabbit, you can't kill your brother. He's hallucinating.
あれを食って生きてる。命を食って生きてる。
Mm-hmm.
生きてる。
Look at their little capes.
ごめんな。
It's about respecting life, but also understanding that it plays a role. Everything needs to eat to survive. It's a cycle, isn't it?
1は善は1の答えって見つかった？
That we're all alive and we're all connected.
ずっと考えているけど、なんとなくしかわからないよ。
で、考えたんだ。もし食わないで
They'd eat you.
死んだら、狐やアリに食われる。
Yeah.
土に帰って草になる。それをウサギ
We're
が
all connected. We're all
食物
one.
連鎖だね。
ああ、それだけじゃない。
何もかもつながってる？
すべては目に見えない大きな流れの中にあるんだ。それを宇宙っていうのか世界っていうのかはわかんないけど、流れの中の小さな一つ。
A cog in the machine.
一に過ぎない。だけど、その小さな一が集まって善が存在できる。
約束の日だ。1は善。善は1の答えを聞く。
Imagine he comes out with that and she's like, you're wrong.
よろしい。本修行に移ろう。
No, obviously they're not wrong, but it would have been funny if she was like, nah, sorry, you have to go back onto the island.
縁は力の循環を示し、
Look at her. She's so effortless. It's great.
力の発動が可能になる。
Sounds like she had a really harsh upbringing, so obviously she's giving them the same upbringing that she had. And also she knows that life isn't fair.
体感するのが一番いい。
Life is hard and brutal, so she's given them the strength and resilience to face the cruelty of the world.
でも先生は手のひらを合わせただけで練習してましたよね。構築式は書かなくていいんですか？
No, she does not.
私自身が構築式みたいなものかな。
どうやったらできるんです？
真理にたどり着けばできるようになるかもね。
先生も真理を。
Oh, is that why she's ill? Like, that was the sacrifice that she had to make, the exchange for knowledge?
で、話というのは何だ？
Like, this is a consequence of it, or?
やはり構築式なしに錬成できるか。加えてアルフォンスは空っぽの鎧。お前は片手片足がオートメイル。
先生、どうして？
それぐらい手合わせすればわかる。
Did they really think they were gonna trick her? Like, damn.
見たな。して揃ってしょうもない。
That was the price she had to pay. She was attempting to bring a baby back, wasn't she? She lost her child and she just wanted to bring it back.
なかなか子供ができなくてね。ようやくできたっていうのに、私が病気になっちまって、私たちの子は生きてこの世に生まれることができなかった。だから。
Two sides of the same coin. They did it for their mum, and she did it for her child.
本当に大バカ者だよ。辛かったろ。
Oh, if anyone can relate, it's her.
自分でやったことですし、辛いとかそういう気持ちは。
She probably sees them as her children,
そうだよな。
which is why it probably hurts her to know the truth. Oh, I want to
無理し
cry.
なくていい。
When was the last time they were hugged like that? By someone who cares about them so deeply.
ごめんなさい。
すみません。すみません。すみません。
I want to cry.
その流れを知り分析して再構築する。それが錬金術。そして生きることでもある。
錬金術の基本、分解再構築っていうのは
That's why they had to learn from experience.
ウサギを食べたらその肉を分解して自分の体に再構築する。ウサギだって食べた草を自分の体に再構築している。錬金術っていうのは命そのものなんだ。
This show is so beautiful. God, I swear. I think I'm going to start crying a lot more at this show. Just the fact that of all the people that could relate, it's her, because they lost their mum and they wanted to bring back the one person that they could rely on and who gave them the gift of life. And she couldn't even give the gift of life to her child, and she was desperate to do so at the risk of herself in the process, and she's paid the price for that. And she said she was a pushover, and it's because she obviously really wants children. They both really want children. They've just never been able to have them, and it's why she probably feels so strongly for Ed and Al. She's harsh in her teaching, but I think that's from her background. It's, you know, emphasized that she was thrown into the middle of the mountains to fight like a bear. So she's probably from a background where that kind of treatment of children is like normalized. And she's like, yeah, no, that's fine. You have to be cruel to be kind. But she very evidently cares a great deal for them. And she probably sees them as her children because she never got to have them for herself. And it's just the way that she says to them, you don't have to be strong. I've been saying this, that they're both very quick to downplay what happened and to put on a brave face and try and find the best in everything. But it's okay to admit when you're hurting and when you're sad. It's not a weakness to be aware of your emotions. It's not weak to show that you're pained by what has happened. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to bottle it. You don't have to repress it. She's sort of the first person to really recognize that that's what they're doing. And that's why she puts her arms around them and tells them that they don't need to be strong, that they can let it out. And they're her babies. And the fact that she knows them so well that she was able to tell immediately from sparring with them that Ed was hiding his arm and his leg, and Al was hiding the fact that he is just a suit of armor. That's how well she knows them, that they can't lie to her, they can't hide it from her. She is so cool. I genuinely think she might be like my favorite character, and she's only been in this one episode. She's phenomenal. And just the more insight into their dad and then seeing their mum lay like that. Yeah, I think their mum was killed. I think their dad is hiding the knowledge from the sins because he knows that they want to use it to control the world and to make more philosopher's stones for which they require human sacrifices. So I think that's why he's hiding it from them, is because he knows that they can't be trusted with it. But it's such a good show. I love this show so much. It's just so beautiful, and the themes that it depicts are ones that you can really sit back and reflect on and take away with you. And I think that's why I enjoy this show and I love the characters so much. It's because you can really resonate with their experiences. Obviously not the experience of trying to bring your mom back from the dead and sacrificing an arm and a leg to bring your brother back, but you can, you know, understand their struggle with grief and the trauma that it has on them and the way in which they're trying to move forward and overcome, but also this fear of being seen as lesser than or being seen as weak, and how they're trying to be strong, but they are just kids. They are allowed to be human as well. They don't have to hide their emotions, but I guess some of that comes into the fact that they are now working for the military, and that kind of repression has become quite normalized. You know, we saw with Roy when he was mourning Hughes that he didn't want to really show that he was crying, so he made the excuse of it's raining. And of course, he uses the excuse that it's raining because he's useless on a rainy day. We know that. But I think another part of it is as well is that he doesn't want to be seen as weak. And it kind of comes down to this maybe being a depiction of toxic concepts of masculinity, that men need to repress their emotions and need to be seen as strong and stoic, that they can't be attuned with how they're feeling, and that this could be a very healthy way of portraying that men do suffer as well, that men should be attuned with their emotions, and that it's not weak to accept help or to be in pain. It is a part of being human, it's a part of life, and it's the cycle of life. I think it could potentially be symbolic of that, whether it's intentional or not. I think just the way that all the male characters are quite quick to repress how they feel, but Armstrong and Hughes, they're both very open and honest about their affection, and I think that is just who they are as people, just part of their character choice. But for Roy and Ed and Al, they're very sort of stoic. And I think it could be in part because of the military, but it also could be in part because they don't want to burden others, and they see their emotions as burdens, so they'd rather shoulder it themselves, which is unfortunately something that happens in society quite a lot with men because of ideologies around what masculinity is, that they promote this idea that men need to be stoic and that it's weak to show emotion, and it's not. It 100% is not weak to be emotional. It's not a diminishment of who you are as a person. And these ideologies that men need to not show their emotions also lead to an increase in mental health issues with men. And I can't say the word because I will probably get my video suppressed by YouTube, but unaliving because of mental health. And, you know, that's on the increase with men. And I think that's because of toxic concepts of what masculinity is. And these stereotypes become embodied by men at a young age, that they then carry them forward, and they then inflict that on their sons, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And then the sons share the same reflection. But I think society is getting better in terms of being open about mental health, especially when it comes to men, and the importance of being open, and that it's not a weakness to share your emotions with others and to reach out for help. But I think just the way that it's shown in the show could really be seen as symbolic of that you have men who struggle to accept help and to show their emotions and to break down because they don't want to burden others, but then they're shown that it's not a burden, that it's part of being human and it's healthy and it should be accepted within society, because as Ed screams in episode 4, we are human. And that's something that we all need to accept. I just don't know if that is specifically where the author was intending to go with the depiction of male characters, but I think thematically you could argue that it has cultural relevance, especially because there is still stereotypes like that in Japan, where men do feel that they cannot talk about mental health and they cannot talk about their emotions because it is a burden to their families, and it also leads to high unaliving rates in Japan as well, alongside the pressure of being successful in your job and the pressure of being the provider for your family. Japan is improving, but there are still some very traditional attitudes towards roles when it comes to family dynamics, that men should be the sole earners and that women should be at home. And of course, if that is the choice that people choose to make, then that is perfectly fine, and I will never judge anyone that does choose to stay at home with their children and to be a housewife. I think if that is what works best for your family, and it is your choice, and that's perfectly fine. And that's the beauty of it being a choice, is that you can choose to go back to work or you can choose to stay at home. But there are some societies, and Japan is one of them, where it's not as accepted, but it is improving. I think when traditional societies start to falter is when it has a significant impact on men and their ability to speak out and receive access to support when they are struggling. And when society begins to judge men for that, then that's sort of when traditional aspects of masculinity and traditional aspects of the family begin to kind of fall apart. And of course, that's not just Japan. Traditional aspects of masculinity are everywhere. They are in the United States or in the UK. They're everywhere. And no two masculinities are the same. It is a spectrum. Everyone has societies that value different characteristics of what it means to be a man in that society. But when it becomes toxic is when it becomes the only socially acceptable way, and you negatively critique any alternative forms of masculine identity in order to promote specific qualities that end up being harmful in the long run, such as the mentality of boys don't cry. That is a form of toxic masculinity because it is teaching young boys to bottle up their emotions and to hide how they're feeling, which is not healthy, because at the end of the day, they are a person, they are human, and human emotions are something that should be expressed and never repressed, because it does not lead to anything positive. And this whole mentality of teaching young boys that they cannot express it because it's a weakness leads to repression and leads to men suffering in silence. So if you do ever feel like you are suffering in silence, please do seek help, because it is not a weakness, and we wouldn't want you to do anything that you shouldn't do, because you are special, because you were born into this world. So I think it's incredibly important to also use my platform to promote anyone who is struggling to reach out for help and to reassure you that it is not a weakness. It is not something you should be ashamed of, especially if you are a man. I don't care what society says. It is not a weakness. Either way, I've gone off on a tangent, so I do apologize. Amazing episode. I'm going to watch episode 13, and then I need to watch the 2 post-credit scenes that I missed for episode 6 and episode 8, because I forgot to watch them. But if you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next time, bye.